Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Great Day Houston Medical Monday. As we know, medical technology has made great strides. We now have man-made replacements for things like heart valves. We can do total hip and knee replacements, and 3D printing could soon revolutionize organ transplants by printing custom-sized organs for new livers, kidneys, and hearts. The science of rebuilding the body, defying disease and injury isn't new. It was actually the premise behind the 70s television series, The $6 Million Man.
We have the capability to make the world's first bionic man. Steve Austin will be that man. Better than he was before. Better, stronger, faster.
Until we get there, it's a balancing act with our health. Some issues can be easily taken care of. Others are more of a mystery. Our first guest went to 80 doctor's appointments in a year and a half and was essentially told there's nothing wrong. Turns out her body was attacking itself because of an autoimmune disease called lupus. Since her long-delayed diagnosis, Faith Majors has become an advocate to help others. And as a side note, she is married to Lee Majors, the bionic man. Good morning.
Good morning, Deborah. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. When you reached out and let me know, it's one of those things that I had no idea you were dealing with this, right? And a lot of people didn't for a long time. In fact, a lot of doctors didn't know for a long time. As I mentioned, 80 different appointments. All right. Yes. It's oftentimes referred to as the invisible illness.
It is, and because it mimics so many other autoimmune diseases, and the key is there isn't one diagnostic test for lupus. So, is it MS? Is it something else? And
or is it all in your head? I can't tell you how many people
yes.
I know who've dealt with lupus, and the doctor would say, "Hun, maybe have you seen somebody?"
Yes, you're stressed. You're bored. I've even gotten that. I was dismissed by.
You're bored.
Yes, I've gotten dismissed by countless doctors.
Wow.
And it was a process going from specialist to specialist, trying to get answers. But people see you looking healthy, they think everything is fine, but something very real is happening inside.
What is happening inside with lupus?
So your body is mistakenly attacking its own healthy tissue. So it's attacking your organs, your tissues, and people have seizures, blood clots, tremendous pain, debilitating pain, fatigue. I could go on and on.
Yeah. Did you have all of those? What types of things did you deal with?
Well, it started with debilitating fatigue and pain, and I had a very active life to all of a sudden needing 3 and 4 hour naps and just.
And that's what made you know that something's really wrong here.
Something is wrong.
Yeah.
This is not normal. But for months, and that's when the doctors started, and they said, "No, you're fine. Get more rest."
But we took tests. The test said you were fine.
You're fine. Get more rest. And I progressively got sicker and sicker. And I thought something is seriously wrong until I did end up in the emergency room several times, going to the hospital, having every test, including a spinal tap, and being told everything is normal.
What does that do to you when you are the one living it every day, suffering through it every day, and then when you keep being told that you're fine? Because I would imagine even friends around you would start to doubt.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, well, you look good, right?
It was very frustrating. It was a lonely and honestly a very depressing time because no one could understand, why is she feeling this way? She looks completely healthy. Yeah. And I kept thinking, I know I'm not making this up. You don't want to believe it.
Yeah.
But it is hard. But I knew in my heart of hearts, I had to keep pressing forward, advocating for myself to get answers, even when no one understood. And even when I wasn't getting the answers.
And another difficult part about this, like several other diseases, like you said, it mimics other diseases, but it doesn't act the same in everybody either, right?
Yeah. Everyone has different symptoms, and there are no two cases that are the same. And same with the treatment plans.
Yeah.
Very different.
You went from bedridden, we saw that picture there, where literally it just knocked you off your feet, to advocate. I would imagine no one wants to be told you have lupus, but for you, when you were finally told you have this, it was somewhat of a relief because at least you knew where you stood.
It was a relief and a shock.
Yeah.
Because I thought, how is this possible? I thought I was doing everything right, eating healthy, XYZ, but we don't know, why this happens to the body. So it took a while to process. And then from there, I was on a mission to get as much information as I could. I became an informed patient, which some doctors don't like. I would come in with my notes and say, hey, how about this? Test me for this, that, XYZ.
Looking back, as we always say, hindsight's 20/20. Looking back, what would you have done differently if you know now what you didn't know then?
In regards to lupus or before?
Yeah, in regards to just, was it a different test you would have gotten? Is it a different insistence you would have done with doctors?
Honestly, I think I would probably repeat the same thing.
Just, yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say demanded, but I kept insisting I want this test done. Doctors said no, insurance companies said no, and I kept pressing. I'm not going to stop until I get that done.
Yeah, and that is another issue. Yeah,
because my life is on the line, and when you don't have your health, nothing else matters.
Yeah, and so that's why you became this advocate to speak out about it. And now you're speaking out. You're running across more and more people who say the same story.
Yeah, they have lupus. It took years to get diagnosed. They're in pain all the time. Some are going through stem cell treatments. I mean, it's just...
Because there is no actual cure for it.
There is no cure.
Yeah.
There is no cure, and there is no single test.
Yeah.
So that's the goal, is to get a specific diagnostic test, find a cure, keep the conversation going, so people are aware lupus is very real, even though you can't see it. This is not to be taken lightly.
Yeah. And until we get to a cure, at least better, more effective treatments. And then you're trying to educate people on other things you can do to improve quality of life. And for you, it was like surfing towards serenity.
Yeah, so believe it or not, it was at one of my lowest points, and it was my aunt who suggested I join her on a women's surf trip to Costa Rica. And I said, "You're crazy, I can't even walk to check my mail." That's how weak and sick I was. But I went, 2 weeks in the jungle, learned to surf outdoors. I returned home, saw my rheumatologist, who I have to see every 2 months, and she looked at my lab work and said, "What did you just do?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Your blood work shows you're in remission. Whatever you did, keep doing it."
Wow.
And to me, that was doctor's orders that I'm still alive, I still have strength in me, and to keep going.
Yeah.
And I still have lupus. It does go in and out of remission, but it was just, wow, something as simple as, was it being in the fresh air, no stress?
Yeah, the stress part is huge.
key.
We all underestimate stress,
And
right?
it's easier said than done, but it really turned the corner for me.
Yeah.
That was the turning point. And even when I was diagnosed and started treatment, it didn't, I didn't feel better overnight. It was still months in the making, little by little.
There's strength in numbers, as we always say.
Yes.
Sometimes you can feel very isolated, very alone, that you're the only one dealing with this, and then all of a sudden, like when you finally said, "I have lupus," and you're talking about it, how people came to you and said, "Me too." You support the Lupus Research Alliance. Tell us what they do, and how you've been able to get almost healing through that too.
Well, they're one of the only organizations where 100% of all funds raised goes strictly to research. They're one of the few that has 2 FDA-approved treatments in the last 70 years. So they are
last 70 years?
Last 70 years. They're doing groundbreaking research and community involvement. And so, again, I had to search for a community in the lupus community because I couldn't find anyone. And I've gotten a lot of resources through them and help.
And is that because there aren't the numbers of people dealing with lupus? Sometimes we know that when there's great numbers of people dealing with something, then you have great support. And then sometimes when there are those issues, health issues, where it's not as many people, that you can't find that support.
I think so. And it's not, it's not like a sexy disease. I hate to say that.
Yeah, but yet I know several people who have lupus. So if it's so rare, it's really not that rare.
But the thing is, it affects over 90% of women, and it takes over 5 years to be properly
compared
diagnosed.
To men, that 90%,
compared to men. And I think there are still millions out there who have lupus and aren't aware of it. But there isn't enough information, education, even in the medical system, rheumatology, specific for lupus. So,
all right, what do you have to say to somebody who's just been diagnosed?
Don't give up. Keep going. I know it sounds simple, but for me, there are answers out there. There is hope. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah. And go surfing. No.
Listen to your body. You know your body better than anyone, and keep advocating for yourself, even if you get no's.
Yeah.
Keep going.
All right. Well, Faith, thank you very much.
Thank you
Tell
so
your
much.
husband Lee I said hello. He was my hero,
Thank
right?
you. I
And you are the
will.
hero to a lot of people stepping forward and talking about
Thank you
this.
so much, Deborah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. For more information about lupus, resources for patients and families, or to support the Lupus Research Alliance, visit lupusresearch.org.